Yes guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel for 6 things we learned from Liverpool 0, Chelsea 0. Once again, I want to reiterate, it's not, I say once again, this is the first time in the video, it's not the worst result in the world, but what this game showed us was just how far Liverpool and Chelsea have fallen away from the standards that are currently set in the Premier League. It was a very dull game of football. Severe lack of quality all over the field, apart from certain moments of individual class, usually in defensive areas, particularly from Chelsea Football Club. Chelsea don't score again, but it is 2 clean sheets in a row, and you normally go to Anfield, and if you come away with a clean sheet, you've done something correct. So I'm not going to say I'm overly upset. I would say I'm not quite too surprised about anything that I've seen out there tonight because, well, Chelsea drawing a blank is something that we have grown very used to. Impotency in front of goal, awful decision making in the final third at times. But before we do get into any of the boxes in 6 things we learned, greens, yellows and reds today, I would love to ask you guys to hit the like button if you enjoy this series and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're on the way to 250,000 Chelsea fans here on GBFC, which would be an absolutely phenomenal moment for all of us involved. The game itself, Chelsea did well. I think we played much better than Liverpool. I think when you look at the injury list that Chelsea have, yes, Liverpool have also got their own injuries to worry about, but ours is significantly bigger than any clubs right now in the Premier League, maybe even in the top European leagues as well. So to look at where we were today in comparison to what we've known from Liverpool over the years under Jurgen Klopp, Liverpool are an absolute shadow of what they were, and Chelsea are in a moment where we're still a shadow of the best parts of what we've been in recent years. But I would go as far as to say, other than finishing and not treating Anfield like an ice rink, which at times today, I genuinely just wondered if the boot man was maybe the one that we should be sacking instead of Graham Potter at any given point, because did he even put studs in some of the players' boots out there today? We were falling over left, right and centre. It's not good enough at this kind of level. But Chelsea weren't atrocious. And I kind of want to say that we weren't very good at times, because I'm watching it and I'm thinking, you know what, we're getting the ball into good areas at least. But then when it comes to that final ball, Mason Mount was totally off the game. I think Mudryk did very, very well. But I guess I should save a lot of these personal comments for when I talk about these players in their respective boxes. Box number 1 is a green for Mr. Evergreen, Thiago Silva. You guys can see him. He's down there. That is a painting, a one-off painting, only one of these ever made in the world, of Thiago Silva. Let me know if you're interested. We've got a whole collection of 6 different Chelsea players. Let me know in the comments if you want to see more. Thiago Silva was absolutely immense out there again today. I think when Darwin Núñez comes on, I'm not really worried about it, because I think Darwin Núñez is one of those players who's still young enough to look at someone like Thiago Silva and be intimidated by him. I think when players go up against Thiago Silva, particularly players like a lot of the current Liverpool players who are also incredibly low on confidence, these players are looking at him thinking, I don't know how I'm going to get past this guy. He's 38 years old. There were moments where you would sometimes think that maybe just hitting the ball past Silva and then running away from him, running around him might be able to get around. But it doesn't work like that. This man reads the game so well. When it comes to how to tell someone how to defend, because when you're a kid, everyone wants to go forward and try and score goals. It's very rare that you get like a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old competent enough to want to know that they want to be a centre-back. Do you know what I mean? But if there is kids out there, you show that a lot of defending isn't always about putting in a tackle, going for the ball, sliding in, standing up, waiting for the moment. It's sometimes about when not to commit as well. And I don't think there is a better defender in the Premier League, and maybe even in the world, still to this moment right now, who can defend without touching the ball as well as Thiago Silva can. And I think this game today epitomised that for me, because I think every single moment there was a decision to either commit or not commit was needed from Thiago Silva. He gets it right every single time, and this has been absolutely obvious in all of his performances recently. And like I said, I don't think it is any kind of coincidence that Koulibaly has dropped out of the starting 11 and Chelsea get 2 clean sheets in a row. One half of the issues is being very well rectified. Kepa didn't have a lot to do today because Chelsea managed the game defensively very well indeed. Box number 2 is a red for Mason Mount. Now, people say that I just absolutely void criticism for Mason Mount. Not always necessarily true. Sometimes it might be. But today, Mount cannot escape my criticism because Mount was poor. In terms of those decisions in the final third again, when you've got to be clinical, when you've got to make that right ball or get the right shot away, Mount looks like a player totally void of confidence. When I mentioned at the beginning of this video that so many of those players out there look totally void of confidence today from both sets of players, Mason Mount was the epitome of it for Chelsea. I think at the moment, Mount probably needs to be dropped because the performance levels are progressively going down, in my opinion, game by game. He's nowhere near as involved as he was. I think we're in like this transitional phase where maybe at times he's trying too hard to do the right thing because he's been used to being deployed out on that left wing position and now we go and spend 100 mil on a player. Graham Potter's come in and it's been alarming just how there's just such a lack of fluidity in what Mason Mount does. And the final ball has just not been good enough. And I think he might have evaded criticism from me for a bit too long. And today, there's absolutely no way he can avoid it. I think it's one of the worst games I've seen him play in a Chelsea shirt. Box number 3 is a green for Badiashile. Once again, 2 Chelsea games, 2 clean sheets, and 2 pretty remarkable performances. I don't think I've ever seen a 21-year-old come in at centre-back and ever look so comfortable the way that Benoit Badiashile does. And I really, really hope that in 2 weeks' time when we play Fulham again, I believe, in the Premier League at the Bridge, I really hope that we see the Silva-Badiashile partnership continue. As far as I'm led to believe, Chilwell and Reece James will be ready for that game against Fulham. You have no idea how excited I am for Reece James to be back in a Chelsea shirt because we will start winning again when Reece James is back. Reece James is the cornerstone of Chelsea Football Club. Reece James is everything that Chelsea desire to be. He's world class, he's the best footballer at this club, and I can't wait for him to be back. Badiashile was fantastic once again, and I think it's going to prove to be a very astute signing, this from Chelsea. A lot of people didn't know a lot about him. I wasn't all that sure about him. I looked at the height, I'm thinking, is he going to be able to deal with those quick turning Premier League defenders, attackers, and all this? But so far, he's done exceptionally well against Palace and Liverpool. And I think he dealt with everything that came his way today very well indeed. Box number 4 is a yellow box for Lewis Hall. And I've put Chukwuemeka in with him as well. Today we saw Lewis Hall play in a midfield role, which is the role that he prefers to play in. This season we've seen him as a left back. A lot of people that don't know much or anything about Lewis Hall prior to his breakthrough in the first team probably won't know that Lewis Hall does play in the middle of the midfield, not even the defence. And I think today, even against the Liverpool midfield, who are not quite as solid and good as they have been, I think maybe the magnitude of the game got away from him a little bit. I think Chukwuemeka I've also given that box because, again, final decision making, when to shoot, when to pass, when to stay on your feet. He was falling over, he was Bambi on ice out there. And I think what it highlights to me, I didn't want to give a red because I thought both players played poorly. They did play poor, in my opinion. But I would give them a yellow because for Chelsea to be relying on this kind of level of youth with this level of experience in a game like this at Anfield shows where the club's at. And I think this game to me today highlighted that the injuries is why we need to give Graham Potter more time. Because to come away from Anfield with a 0-0 draw is not a bad result whatsoever. It's a good result. And when you've got 12 first-team players out injured, with more dropping like flies on the pitch again today, you've just got to accept that the performances are not going to be at the standard that we wish to see from Chelsea while so many key players are out. And Lewis Hall being in the middle, putting in a poor performance, giving the ball away a lot. Chukwuemeka couldn't stay on his feet. When Chelsea are looking for players to make a difference, we're relying on these kind of youngsters with this level of experience against Liverpool away. And of course the game finishes 0-0. Box number 5 is a yellow for Jorginho. My problem with Jorginho today was that Liverpool weren't pressing the way they normally do. Yet Jorginho was still so deep when receiving the ball, yet there was so much space ahead of him, and Liverpool players weren't needing to press. So many times in this game, either Thiago Silva or Jorginho in front of the defenders had the ball with acres of room in front of them, and yet we're still holding it for 10 seconds at a time sometimes, playing a long ball, which Thiago Silva did impeccably. Jorginho never plays that ball over the top, and if he does, sometimes it goes well, very rarely even attempts it. And I think Jorginho today was so slow, so incredibly slow. Chelsea need a quick moving ball player in the middle. Jorginho is not that player, and he will never be that player. He never has been that player, and it's time Chelsea moved on. That is my thoughts on the matter whatsoever. I think we'll still get good games out of Jorginho between now and when he inevitably leaves in the summer, but Jorginho is never going to be the kind of player that Chelsea need to take that midfield to the next level. Box number 6 is a green for Mudryk. He got 30 minutes, and he looked bright. He looked quick. Yes, he made some poor decisions again. Poor decision-making is why Chelsea didn't win this game today. But I think he looks like a live wire, and he got me off my seat, which no one is able to do in a Chelsea shirt these days, apart from when Havertz scored a goal last week. But yeah, I think that was a bright start for Mudryk, considering he's not played much football since November. I do think, by the looks of things, he wasn't ready to start the game, and he did look a bit startled, but it's Anfield away on your debut, so I don't think it's all that bad, but I think Chelsea today will be happy with a point. Am I happy with the performance? Relatively. I think we managed the game well, but again, awful decision making, dreadful in front of goal. We need a striker. What's new? Come on, you Blues.